Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we have been working our way through Star Trek. I hesitated there on Star Trek, I don't know why.
It's the one thing that we do on this show.
It's consistent. But yes, we're working our way through Star Trek. We finished the original series, we've watched the first four movies. This is going to be the fifth movie of the original cast. This is Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. So we'll start spoiler free as we always do. We'll give you a warning before we go into spoilers somewhere in the middle. And, we both came out of Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, feeling very positive. We both thought it was the best of the four. I feel like there's two types of people. There's people who think Wrath of Khan is the best of the original six movie, and there's people who think Voyage Home is the best of the original six. We just happen to both fall down that same side.
Yeah.
But hey, so Star Trek 5 is notorious as being the shit one. And you hadn't seen this before. I'd seen it once, back when I watched the movies for the first time a while ago. It was funny, as I didn't really remember a whole lot about it. I remembered kind of how it ended. I remembered rocket boots. And I remembered starting off on a cliff. And I thought I remembered some other stuff that I thought was the best stuff in the movie. Turns out that wasn't in this one. That's going to be in the next one. But
At least you got something to look forward to.
That's true. That's true. But the premise for this one is that a Vulcan is named Cybok is gaining followers and then intends to steal the Enterprise to journey across the Great Barrier into the center of the galaxy where he believes he will find God. That is the premise of this movie. Carr, did you enjoy Star Trek V, The Final Frontier?
Nope. Oh boy.
How much did you not enjoy it?
A significant amount. It is not good.
Search for Spock's looking quite nice now, and that you're like, oh, I could go back to that one.
I mean, it's better than this, definitely.
It's like there's a gaping hole between them. It's not even close.
Yeah, there is.
The sad part is it's not even just the main plot that sucks in this one. Even the characters feel a little bit off at times. And I'm not even sure why we're still kind of doing Spock's not quite back to him old self yet. I feel like, come on.
I thought we fixed that at the end of the last movie.
Yeah, I thought we were done with that. It just kind of feels repetitive to still do it. It's weird. But we have that stuff. And even Kirk feels kind of oddly, I don't know, not quite aggressive, but he's oddly kind of.
I'm not sure who I should be blaming. Because obviously Shatner directed this one, right?
He did, yes.
And I feel like he probably knows his character by now.
Yeah. He did not write it, though, I don't believe. Oh, wait, no. Story by William Shatner. Oh, well, never mind.
Story by, but not necessarily script. So the dialogue itself could be someone else's problem.
Oh, he might have co-wrote the screenplay as well.
He might have done, yeah.
No. Someone else did that.
Okay.
Jeez. Yeah, I'm not the concept for this one's kind of all over the place. And
yeah,
most importantly, though, a lot of it's just kind of boring.
Yeah.
Case in point, I fell asleep 40 minutes in, and we were recording this about an hour and a half later than we should have been because I fell asleep.
We are, which means I started drinking a while ago because I thought we were doing this a lot earlier.
I mean, it's just. So here's one of this sounds like such a simple little thing, but here's one of my structural problems with this film. We see the threat, early on, Cybok on this planet, Nimbus 3, he kidnaps the representatives of three governments who kind of are trying to build this planet up into this place of peace. And it's a Klingon, a Federation representative, and a Romulan. And this hostage crisis happens, and a call goes out about it, and the Enterprise, everyone's on shore leave, but Scotty's still there doing repairs. Him and Uhura apparently have got a romance brewing. I don't know where that came from.
Because they needed a romance? Reasons?
Apparently. So whatever. I'll accept it, it's fine. It doesn't necessarily bother me. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
It's not just that
bad. Yeah. It's really only a couple of sweet, flirty moments. It's not really anything super in-depth.
That is far from a problem in this movie.
But so Uhura gets the call, and she immediately contacts Chekhov in Sulu. And there's some fun banter. I mean, obviously, not all the character stuff is bad. Like some of it's just fun Star Trek stuff. That's fine.
Yeah, this bit where they're like, no, oh well, they're clearly lost, and they know they're lost, but they don't want to admit that. So they're like, oh, there's a blizzard, and you have Chekhov blowing into the calm.
Yeah, it's amusing. And it's like, okay, fine. So they've got them. The transporter's not working, so they're getting the shuttle down and they're picking them up, right? So that happens, but then we're still with like the main trio, Spock, Kirk, and McCoy, in Yosemite around a campfire for a good long scene.
Do you know what? I have a problem even before we get to that point.
Oh, go on.
The fact that it's the middle of the day when we pick up Chekhov and Sulu, and then they're at night around a campfire.
That's true. Yeah, they're and I mean they could be in different parts of the world, but no one ever indicates that.
Doesn't seem like it to me.
It seems like they're in the same park somewhere else.
It does, doesn't it?
I mean, otherwise, where are Sulu and Chekhov off to? I mean, what were they doing?
Yeah, I assume they were also in the national park, just having a wander around doing something different.
But they have this big long scene, and eventually Uhura shows up with the not even during the campfire scene. It's middle of the night. They're asleep. They're asleep by the time she shows up.
Yes, they've been having a sing song.
And the Galileo, shuttle. Which I noticed the name of it because obviously that was the episode of the original show. It was about that shuttle, the Galileo 7. Pretty enjoyable episode, and I just thought this was weird. It got the crisis in motion, and the idea that the Enterprise and the crew are needed, and then we sat around doing, with Kirk and Spock.
Row your boat.
Yeah, we sat around doing that with them unaware that there was a thing going on, and it felt kind of weird. I felt like, no, just have the crisis be called in later, so I'm not waiting for them to be picked up.
It's true, because you set that scene the night before, right? They have a sing-song.
Yeah.
And then the crisis comes in, and you come pick them up in the morning. Sulu and Chekhov get picked up, also in the morning.
Yeah.
What difference does that make? Except it's better.
It's better because it the way it is in the movie, it feels like everything, like, it's supposed to be ramping up because the crisis has been called in, and then everything just goes to a halt again. And it's like, no, we're going to wait and do sing-songs and whatever. So I don't know. Also, the whole rocket boots thing with Spock just feels kind of wacky and out of place.
I was okay with it for the first 30 seconds
until Kirk fell to his death and Spock had to save him.
Right up until that, when Kirk's just climbing and Spock's just floating next to him talking, going, "What the hell are you doing climbing without any safety equipment? This is stupid."
Logical. This is not.
Yeah, I'm all right with this bit. I'm like, sure, rocket boots, why not? I can't really say, oh, they can't exist in this world, right? And then he falls, and we have Spock dive down after him, and then just grab him with absolutely no deacceleration whatsoever.
We have Spock do Superman. That's what it is. It's like he's flying.
It is, yeah.
I have no problem with rocket boots existing in Star Trek's universe. I just have a problem with visuals of Spock, flying around and doing these dives and stuff.
A bigger problem is later on it very clearly establishes the brakes are not that reliable. Yet they managed to stop perfectly fine here with Kirk.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. But that stuff just right away it sets you off on the wrong foot. The opening scene sets you off on the wrong foot because the opening scene's like a tease of the villain at Cyborg, and right away you're like, and there's one interesting element because it kind of reveals that he's a Vulcan after he's already done a few things, and it's like, oh, that was kind of out of character for a Vulcan. Where are we going with this?
I thought the shot of the reveal of the ears was way too dramatic. It proper stopped everything and just did this close up on, oh look, it's a pointed ear. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. Calm down.
And not to mention, we've never been a fan of the episodes of Star Trek where it dealt with godlike figures. So the idea that this one's revolving around the search for God is immediately enough to kind of turn us off. But it is just,
yeah. To its credit, the God stuff doesn't really come up till relatively late in the movie.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, to its credit in that it wasn't bogging down the entire film. There's other problems that come from this. That it is kind of like, oh yeah, I suppose we should do God.
Yeah, there's other problems before then, but I mean, that means the climax and everything in the third act, for the most part, up until after all that stuff's resolved, is mostly just kind of tedious to sit through. Most of it is just the same old stuff. Most of it is characters reacting weirdly, because we set up this thing with Cyborg where he kind of gains followers because he can connect with people, using his mind melding essentially, where he can take away their pain by making them confront whatever it is that holds them back. And
Yeah.
at first it's very vague until very later on in the film when he finally does it to McCoy, and we actually get to see what the character goes through when this happens, and we see it from the other side, and it's like, okay, and we'll save some of that for spoilers, but it just
He seems very adept at this mind meld. Every other time we've seen, Spock or Sarek do the mind meld, it's the fingers on the face, right? And it's just really subtle. I'm like, how powerful is this dude?
I mean, if he's powerful, he's powerful. I don't really have a
Yeah, but
problem with
there's
that.
nothing that really insinuates it. He just kind of is.
My bigger problem is just kind of how vague he is as a villain, and that he's not necessarily an outright villain, and sometimes that can work if you're doing these shades of grey or whatever, but it's kind of this weird thing. And then to top it all off, he kind of like gets a lot of the crew to like just immediately turn on their duties, right, and just follow him. But the fact that Spock, Kirk, and McCoy last longer kind of makes the rest of the crew look like shit because it's like, oh, they were all easy to turn.
Yeah.
No problem.
Who was it? Uhura and was it Chekhov? Chekhov?
Chekhov and Uhura, yeah.
Yeah, like pretty, like just immediately. It's like, yeah, sure, yeah, do whatever you want, take the ship.
Yeah, it's almost like a Body Snatchers type plot to a point when he's just turning people.
Oh, it is, yeah.
As easy as that. But one of the more general things I want to talk about is this one feels a bit cheaper than the previous movies. I noticed a reused shot from Star Trek 4. The first time we see the Enterprise in this movie is actually the same shot from the end of Voyage Home when it was first revealed. There's a shot of like the small town on the Nimbus 3 planet where the hostage situation is happening. There's a shot of that at nighttime that is like one of the worst like visual effects I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, it's not great. Even just the fact that we don't see that much of the Enterprise. They make a point of going, oh no, all these corridors, they're out of action. It's like, well, why?
Yeah, was that to save money though? I don't know if that was.
I assumed this
Because
this was going on at the same time as Next Gen, right?
Sure.
So I assumed Next Gen was using the sets for some of the hallways, and they couldn't borrow them, and they were like, "Well, we're not going to build new ones."
I have no idea if they were using the same sets. I assume Next Gen had their own sets. You could be right. I don't necessarily see it as a cost cutting measure though. I felt that this was more to do with setting up the idea that the Enterprise is not ready and they're on a skeleton crew and everything's not working. But the reason why I doubt that there's a cost cutting measure is because they had to build so many of because there's a lot of like tunnels in the Enterprise we go through in this one. There's a lot of shafts and things. There's a lot of things they still had to build for this. Where I'm thinking, well, building this instead of the hallways doesn't necessarily seem cheaper. It just seems.
That's a fair point.
Because there's a lot of stuff with running around the three of them when they're on, when the ship's kind of under siege, if you will. Because it almost became Die Hard on the Enterprise, and that'd have been great if it went down that path. I'd have been into that.
That would have been way better.
I'd have been way into that with Kirk running around being John McClane on the Enterprise. I could have got into that.
Can you imagine Kirk running around going yippee-ki-yay?
Nah, it'll be a Star Trek equivalent.
Yeah, I know, but it's funnier if you picture it just as it is.
Mm-hmm. Or he's a fan of Die Hard and he tries to get Spock to say it. So Spock eventually says yippee-ki-yay at some point. That could work. That'd cheer me up.
That would have been way better than most of this movie.
Yeah. So, yeah, it felt cheaper in places. I mean, obviously I was happy that Jerry Goldsmith was back because I like his theme that he did bring back. But even there, I noticed some weird elements like... So the movie opens with the classic Star Trek opening theme, and it goes into the motion picture theme, right? And I was like, okay, great, fine. The end of the movie, when it ends, it plays just the exact same track at the end. It doesn't have like a composed outro track.
I don't think this was Jerry's finest work.
No, and not only that, here's the other thing that felt weird to me about the way the music comes in at the end is normally dun 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 dun. Yeah, that usually that'll play before the credits in these movies. Like that'll build up to the credits, and then when the main theme of the movie, whether it be this main theme or the Abrams main theme, whatever it is, then that'll kick in, or maybe the end credits theme will kick in when the credits hit. This actually started playing the credits during the traditional Star Trek opening music, which never usually does that.
It's kind of weird. Yeah.
It was weird, and then the main theme just kind of kicked in as it was going past the cast, and I was like, this feels rushed. It feels like no one really thought about this and just threw it in as was. Rather than
Yeah.
think about it, just put it in.
No, I'm with. It almost feels like they had the tracks pre-made, right? Because they didn't get original ones done for the ending, and they were like, well, we need like an extra 30, 40 seconds because this is how long the credits are. What can we do? It's like, just play that earlier. That'll do.
I guess. Even if you don't have any footage, just have the camera on space, right? Just have the stars and have Kirk do the speech.
Mm.
These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise, blah blah blah. To go because hell, at one point you actually see to boldly go where no man has gone before on the wheel, right? So even having the speech at the end, I mean, it would make sense at the end of every Star Trek movie, to be honest, but it especially makes sense at the end of this one to just have that play out over the music.
It would. I would never critique a Star Trek movie for having that at the end.
I'm pretty sure
not any movie.
All the new ones do. I think it's just now it's standard.
Yeah.
Now it's standard to just all have that at the end, but obviously that wasn't the case during these original movies. I think one of them had it at the end.
Yeah.
But
I would never go, oh no, that shouldn't be there. Even if it didn't necessarily like fit as directly as it would have done with this one. It's just no, that's fine.
It's just your outro to Star Trek. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I don't know. It felt weird. It felt rushed to me at the end. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say that the final scene of the movie is we're back around the campfire and we're finally doing row your boat. I mean, I don't know. So much of this movie is kind of annoying. It's kind of undercooked. It's kind of dull in places. The ideas, Kirk just feels a little bit more, I don't know, blasé about how he's acting.
Yeah.
The way he reacts to Spock in some of the earlier scenes, the way he reacts to Bones, he gets very agitated in some scenes that feel kind of out of character for Kirk, or at least, and not by like a huge extent, just enough that it doesn't feel like he's not got that same composure that I expect Kirk to have. It just feels a little bit off. It's odd. And then this is not to mention who Cyborg ends up being in terms of relations.
Well, I was not going to mention that until we're in spoilers, to be fair.
Well, I've kind of implied it now, so if this is a spoiler to you, I apologise, but Cyborg turns out to be Spock's half-brother.
Yeah, I groaned. I genuinely, legitimately went, ugh, out loud when this, because I was like, why? Why does it have to? Can it not just be another Vulcan?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be.
Can it not just be part of me, if this had been something from the start and it was, this is always the point, if this had been the idea that Spock is half human, so he should be the one that goes off with his emotions at times, but it's actually his full Vulcan brother that saw that. I can see a fantastic story in that concept of the brother seeing something in Spock that Spock can't see in himself.
Yeah, the worst part about this is at one point when McCoy learns that there's a Vulcan behind this, he's like, "Oh, a Vulcan with emotions, how exciting," or he says something like that, and I'm like, you know what, you're right. On paper, this sounds like a great idea for a Star Trek plot. Is a Vulcan who's betrayed the logic and went full, full passion, as it were. That's an interesting concept.
It is, yeah.
The movie just doesn't do a whole lot with it. He's not that developed a character, ultimately.
Ultimately, it feels that the reason that he's Spock's half brother is just so that we have an excuse for certain plot things for him to get away. Basically, it's like, well, Spock's brother, innit?
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much it. There's no other reason for it. Other than just cheap drama. Oh, this feels more important because it's related to Spock. No, it doesn't. Go away.
A whole movie on that relationship and that being the core element of the movie, I'd be down for that.
It feels it legitimately feels like a bad episode of the show. One of those episodes where it feels like the script needed several revisions. It needed several.
There's so many ideas in here that, in concept, we were just about the Vulcan that I like. There's, I don't really like the godlike entity concept that much, but I get it. It's a thing, right? I'm sure some people must like it, but it's just, we'll throw that in as well. There's all these things that I can see being really interesting. this peace planet between the Federation, the Romulans and the Klingons, and what happens when something goes wrong on that world. Who deals with that problem? The three that
Yeah,
squabbling between the three of them.
or even the idea that it's supposed to be set up as this place of peace between all three, governments, and it's kind of a shithole. Like, everyone seems to be poor. Nothing's really
It's kind of this lawless world.
Yeah, nothing's really taken off the way it seemed to have been intended to. And I think that's interesting. It's kind of a failure. Like, they set this up, but it's kind of failing.
Right, presumably because there's all this clash of bureaucracy that, and nothing gets done because they all have their own way that they want to do it.
Yeah.
Again, there's these ideas in here that I really like. They're just kind of thrown in for the sake of it, and nothing happens with any of them.
And what's funny is one of the things that I typically still enjoy about a lot of bad Star Trek episodes is, at least I enjoy the characters and what they're going through. But bizarrely in this one, the Kirk and Spock relationship feels so kind of like fractured, like compared to what it normally does, in a way that doesn't feel right. That I find it hard to enjoy some of that stuff as well. It comes back around towards the end a little bit. I kind of like some of the post climax stuff towards the end.
Yeah,
that stuff's okay. It feels like sort of more classic Trek, but I feel like some of it just feels there to force the drama of the plot and to force. Oh, maybe there's conflict here. Maybe you know.
I can definitively say who the best character in this movie is.
McCoy, sure.
No, it's Chekhov.
It's Chekhov.
Chekhov is definitively the best character in
Why
this
is
movie.
Chekhov the best character in this movie?
Because he's great. He's got the whole bit. He's got the fun stuff with Sulu. He's got the stuff where he's got to pretend to be the captain. There's all these bits where it's like, no, that feels like Chekhov. That's fun. I can't think of there's rarely a point where I'm like, I'm not enjoying a Chekhov scene in this movie, except when he's brainwashed. But that's different.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think Uhura, Scotty kind of come off fine as well.
They're fine, but they're not. They're not as memorable as the Chekhov stuff.
Well, go spoilers. No, we'll say full spoilers from this point on, so we can talk about some other stuff. I'll give you some positives that are just minor points here or there. I did. Oh, what was the line? Oh, I was about to tell you the one line that I laughed out loud at towards the end. Oh, that's going to bug me now. Oh.
I'm not sure I can help you on this one. Who had the line?
I think it was in the Klingon ship after they picked up Kirk.
Right.
I'm sure there was a line in there that.
Was it the meet our new gunner?
No, I mean that was a nice moment. It was nice to see that with Spock, but it wasn't that. I mean, the other positive I've got about this section though, I do like the idea that Spock goes, because obviously we have the Klingon, and the other representatives on the Enterprise once when Cybok takes it over. So they're there at the end when all this is going on, and we never even mentioned there's a rogue Klingon ship who's chasing after the Enterprise throughout the film because
I have a huge problem with this.
Sure, let me get to my point. You can go back and complain about it in a second. The thing I like about it though, and I don't really like anything that builds up to it. I'm not going to defend pretty much any of it. But the thing I like about it at the end, I do like the idea of Spock going to the Klingon representative and say, "Hey, you outrank everyone on that ship. Can you help with this?" And he kind of implies that he can't, or it'll be difficult. And Spock actually drops a colourful metaphor. He says, "You can damn well try." Yeah. And I like that moment, and I like that he does. Like, when Kirk gets beamed aboard the Klingon ship.
This Klingon dude's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, this Klingon commander or whoever is like, "Oh, my inferior officer here wants to say something." He's like, "I apologize." And he's like,
and he's just like, "And keep going."
Yeah. That was good. I like that idea. It's kind of what we said last time, how because in Next Gen the Klingons are a lot closer in terms of relations, that. And I remember 6 does a lot more with it, but this is actually kind of the first seeds, I guess, of maybe we can actually, because even by the end of the final scene final scenes of the movie, when they're all celebrating, the Klingons are there with them, and Scotty's joking about drinking with a Klingon and so on.
Yeah, we had a little bit last movie in that the Klingons were at the council, the big Federation trial stuff, and they wanted blood, but they were there. They had representatives.
Yeah. Whereas this time it was almost more like one of them actually kind of was an ally. Like one actually helped them, kind of thing. And there's a little joke here about Sulu and Chekhov being into the Klingon woman, and them being scared by our Klingon commander or boyfriend
Yeah.
or whoever. Right, amusing stuff. It's going to kill me what that line was.
So I'll mention one of
You
the
mentioned your complaint. I'm going to go look at some
one of the
quotes
things
here.
I really didn't like with this plot is the whole thing. These Klingons are like they want to the commander wants to prove himself in battle, right? And then they hear all the Enterprise is coming. That's Kirk's ship. If we take out Kirk, we'll be heroes. Just fine. I'm all right with that. And then they're coming up to the Enterprise and they cloak, and the shuttle is coming back up to the Enterprise with Kirk on the shuttle, and Kirk, sends him. You can get to in a second.
Yeah,
Kirk,
but I know
yeah.
it. I know it.
All right. Kirk sends a message going, "Hey, Plan B, whatever," and the Klingon ship. It makes a point of showing us the Klingon ship intercepted this message and knows what's going on, and they're like, "Oh, Kirk's on the shuttle." So why do they not turn and shoot at the shuttle? If their mission here is to kill Kirk and be heroes.
There is zero reason.
It really annoyed me. They carry on just going for the Enterprise, and the Enterprise just moves out of the way. But
yeah, and the joke is that Sulu is going to have to fly in manually, and he's never done it before because he's asked. And that was a fine little joke,
fine.
but yeah, there's actually no reason because I was thinking that as well. Why don't they just shoot the shuttle?
Because their goal isn't to destroy the Enterprise. Their goal is to kill Kirk. So I don't get it.
I don't know. Someone can tell us in the comments if there's a reason. I don't expect there is though.
No, there's a bit of a mess.
But anyway, so yeah, the line that cracked me up is actually it was after that moment where Spock turns around in the chair, and there's a nice call back to the start where Kirk says he thought he was dead, and Spock's like, "No, that was never true because you were never alone, right?" Because that's what Kirk said to him at the start when he gets saved off the cliff. Even though I think that scene's stupid, there's a nice call back to it. And Kirk, goes to put his arms around Spock, and Spock says, "No, Captain, not in front of the Klingons." That is the best line in the entire movie because I actually laughed out loud at it, and I didn't do that the whole movie with anything else. Yeah. So credit to that line. That was a good line of dialogue, not in front of the Klingons.
Do you know what I dawn on me might be one of my biggest problems with the movie? Like, and this is going to sound weird at first.
Okay.
That Kirk doesn't die. The whole opening of the movie is that he's being reckless. He's pushing risk for no reason, and it's all about him confronting mortality and the fact that you could die. And I know where you're going, but it feels so weird to kind of establish that as the start of the movie, like that's going to be your end point.
I guess the point is because he gets saved, he truly believed he was going to die this time. That's what they're going with for it. My argument against what you just said, though, is that the movie's too shit, and I would be really upset if this was how he went out. Now, admittedly, how he actually goes out later is not actually much better.
I've seen that bit.
Yeah, it's actually one of the most disappointing things ever when we get to that eventually. But
I know, and I get that it's coming, whatever. But it felt so weird to establish this whole bit at the start of this movie. I genuinely thought at the start of this movie that's what the point of this movie was supposed to be, because I'd seen that bit, but I wasn't sure which movie it was in.
So did you think we were getting Star Trek 6 without Kirk? It was just going to be everyone else.
I thought I don't know. I'm not really familiar with what Star Trek 6 is. No one really seems to talk about that one. I've got vague. 4's the one with the whales, and I know the first 3. 5 is the shit one. 6 it's just kind of there, right? No one really talks about 6 that much. So I thought, maybe that's the point of this movie, and then it's just not, and that really disappointed me.
You thought no one talks about 6. There's this great, wonderful scheme over the internet for the past 20 years that no one will talk about 6 and just be very vague because Kirk's not in it, just in case it spoils it for anyone who's not seen Star Trek 5.
I wasn't thinking that's why no one spoke about it. It's more because it was kind of uninteresting and no one really cares that much.
Well, we'll find out next time. But I mean, That's not a problem that Kirk didn't die per se, but I think the film's themes and messaging is so warped and messed up anyway that by the time I got to that point, I was just kind of like, I'm not really thinking there is a point or that it knows what it's doing. So
Oh, that's true.
it never really occurred to me, this is exactly what it should have done. Because it's not like if he had died, it'd have fixed the rest of the movie's problems.
Oh no, no, it wouldn't. But at
Yeah,
least it would have given it a start and end. You know,
yeah.
like that thematic through line, which I don't feel like it has at all as it is.
Yeah, so you mentioned Spock being Cyborg's brother, kind of leading to him getting away at one point.
Oh,
So
oh okay. Fine, carry on.
aye. So Spock has him at like gunpoint, and he can't go through with it, and because of that, Cyborg takes command of the ship, and Kirk's pissed at Spock, and they whinge about it in the brig, and Scotty breaks them out. So there's a bit of sneaking around. We have the stupid rocket boot scene in the big
Yeah.
elevator shaft.
But honestly, that point where Spock can't shoot him, that moment feels like the only reason that he's the half brother to me in this movie. Like I said, there are reasons to do that, but it feels like, well, we need a reason for him to get away and take over the ship, so that'll do.
I'll give you one other small reason that I do kind of like, actually. I like the line at the end with Kirk when he says, I lost a brother once too. And, like, Bones and Spock look at him like, what? You don't have a brother? And he's like, but he came back. And I was like, oh, okay, that was sweet.
Okay, so it was a nice line.
It's a nice
but...
line, yeah. I'm not saying it justifies the reason for him being his brother.
Yeah.
But
No, I'll give you that. That is a nice line.
And he's like, oh yeah, we do have family. We're not alone. And do you know what I feel like? It oddly feels like a lot of the messages that this movie has for the characters are things they don't really need to learn. It feels like the movie fabricates them at the start, even though we've never really felt that Kirk needs to learn this or that Spock. Because we thought Spock was fine by the end of the last movie. We thought Kirk was, with his crew, and he thinks of that as his family already. And this movie just seems to want to make these points, even though we were already kind of there.
This is why I really thought this was the movie about Kirk really accepting mortality, right? Because that's been a thing here or there for Kirk that he never quite accepts it. He's always no, not today. And then it's not that at all.
Never give up, never surrender.
Exactly.
Another great starship captain. So, yeah, and then obviously we get to the Cyborg and God stuff. So eventually Cyborg catches up with them when they're sneaking out about the ship, and we finally get to see what he's been doing to these people. And McCoy sees his dying father and kind of accepts that he couldn't save him, and Spock sees his own birth and how his father was disappointed that he's like so human, and this is like their deepest pains and regrets and. And I did kind of like Kirk's reaction and said, no, I don't need to see what my faults are. I know what my faults are. Like, you making me relive them isn't going to change anything about who I am. That's a nice idea. Again, this is like one of the few points where some nice ideas kind of slip through the cracks, where it's like, okay, no, I get the idea that, no. He's going to say, I don't need this because I am aware of who I am. I don't need to have this spiritual understanding of myself. Like,
yeah. Although, I have to admit, this scene really confused me. In that, so when he says this, Spock and McCoy immediately go, well, I guess he's right. I guess I'm with him then. When like 20 seconds before they were mind controlled.
Well, that's the thing. They're not mind controlled. You're thinking about it kind of weirdly. I'm not going to defend it too much, but you made that sound very frivolous. Like they just kind of say, oh no. And I'll kind of accept McCoy to a point, but I think the point with Spock is that, so he's like, okay, so we're about to go across the Great Barrier, which no one's ever done, right? This is like dangerous and might not work. And Kirk says he's not going, and Cyborg's right. The other two, come with me since you've seen the light. And Spock, and from Spock's perspective, I get that he's being kind of logical almost, and he almost like looks back at his own life with logic as well as the emotion, and says, no, like, I'm not the person you left. Yes, that was my greatest fear. That's what tore me up inside. Back in the day, and maybe still to this day to a point, but I'm not the same person you knew. I found who I am. I found myself. I found Spock or the Enterprise. Right, that's who I am.
Sure.
I am Kirk's second in command. That is where my duty lies, regardless of what I know about myself now. It didn't change what his actual duty was. And I guess McCoy feels a bit more far fetched, but at least I guess you could maybe say that. Once the two of them are standing up against him, he also feels bound to those two as family, and that's what kind of breaks the
Fair enough. I agree with everything you just said about Spock. I think it's
Yeah.
just the way it's played in the moment is he kind of already seems like he's on board, right? He's already taken
Mm.
under with Cyborg, and then Kirk stands up and Spock goes, "Nah, you know what? I'm with him."
No, I mean,
And
I don't disagree that it could be played better. If anything, it should be made more of a bigger deal. It should be feel more like a big moment where Spock says, "You know what? No, I'm with
it should,
Jim.
yeah,
I am, and not Captain. I'm with Jim. You know, like
yeah.
say his friend's name, kind of thing."
No, no. Like I said, I agree with everything you just said in terms of the point of what Spock says and how it's written. But just the way it's portrayed doesn't come across at all for me. It just feels like he changes his mind almost.
I actually, despite the fact that I kind of hate this in theory, well, I like a lot of this scene in theory, right? But I hate kind of what comes out of it and how we got there. But ultimately, I kind of dislike the scene as a whole, though, because I just think it's really uninteresting in how it's presented. Like, it's not so much that I don't disagree with you that it doesn't come across the way it should exactly, but I also just think it's kind of like I'm so not invested by Cyborg by this point or see him as an actual threat
That you
that
just don't care.
it's just it goes on so long with McCoy seeing his dead father and then Spock, and it feels like it goes on forever.
Yeah.
Um, but this maybe goes back to it feeling cheap, is it felt like there was just some long scenes like this that didn't really feel like they had, which would be fine if the drama was there and I wouldn't give a shit, but it felt like it went on forever.
Oh, I'm with you.
So we get down to the planet, and it's all purpley looking, and there's this, almost religious music playing. It's like religious music meets sci-fi. It was like a synth organ was playing.
Yeah, it was essentially sci-fi church music.
Yeah,
It was that you could almost hear the choir.
and you don't find anything at first, and then oh no, rumbles. Oh, there's a big light, and the face of God. And the one thing I'll say I like that the godlike figure says, "Oh, does this meet with what your expectations are?" And he has like the bearded classic god face, and I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
he cycles through a few,
yeah,
of the gods.
yeah. I think there was a Klingon one on there, so it's like it's not just like gods we know, it's like other
Well, yeah,
aliens
yeah,
and stuff.
and again, this is one of those concepts that I like the idea of exploring. The idea that, okay, no, the reason that all these cultures have this common mythology of, oh, there's a heaven and afterlife, a god, right?
It's all the same, dude.
It's all the same thing. Yeah, there's something there that is the inspiration for this. I like that concept. I just think it's done really badly.
I don't, I don't really like the concept that much. I don't like the idea of the characters in Star Trek specifically really being into it. I guess like it just feels weird to me. And I like that Kirk challenges it and says, "Why does God need a starship?" Because he says, "I want a starship," and I'm like, "Why do you need a starship? You're God. Just go. You're a damn
Yeah,
god." And it turns out he's been imprisoned here, and he gets angry and starts blasting people. And then eventually Cybok finally stops defending him and is like, "Oh, you know what? I'll distract him while you three run, and I'll sacrifice
yeah.
myself." Yada yada yada. So there's never an explanation to what this thing is, because it's not God. That's pretty clear.
No, no, that's the thing though. It's clearly something very powerful and it's godlike, and I like the idea that it is the inspiration for the god
Okay,
myth in
sure.
all these cultures. That I don't mean it's actually, oh no, this is God.
Yeah.
I don't like that idea.
Um, but I just anything that involves finding a big floating head that's an entity and it talking to you basically just makes me want to bang my head against the wall. I hate it.
I
I hate it
I
so
don't
much.
dispute that.
Unless it's like Zordon's head in a tube, because that's again not
That's
like
cool as shit.
yeah, because that's not a god. That's a projection of his face, because that's just how it looks. But
Yeah.
anything where it's like a big godlike being talking to them and speaking in that deep voice,
Yeah, yeah. Basically, unless you're doing Zordon or Pollen or Wizard of Oz, don't bother.
yeah, yeah. Because I was expecting the man behind the curtain thing, and that never really happened. It's just, no, it's an entity that is big and godly, but it's trapped here. And I'm like, well, why not make the movie more about this, though? Who trapped it here? Who fought him in the first place?
That's one of my criticisms. The God stuff really only comes in the last 40 minutes maybe. I don't know. Out of an hour 45, it's definitely in the after an hour.
If anything, if you're going to do a movie about this, right, I think the more interesting part is, okay, what actually is he? Why is he trapped here? Who fought him? How dangerous is he? So on and so forth. And if that's going to be the focus, then you should find him in like the first act, and
No, I
then
agree.
and then reveal that he's evil and reveal that he's a danger, and go into how he was defeated in the first place and why he was trapped here, and do the interesting parts.
This is why I'm so frustrated, because I can see 3 or 4 good movies in here. They just kind of threw all these half-baked ideas, not even half-baked, that's being generous. They threw all these notions into one movie and just wasted all of them.
And Cyborg's just not that interesting on his own. I mean, he's an interesting concept, like I said, of a Vulcan who's passionate. That's an interesting concept. But Cyborg, as he is not interesting. And then on top of that, the main trio, which is usually the saving grace when things are bad, don't always feel right in this one. And that's almost the worst offense to me. If you can't even get that right, I mean,
it is pretty rough, isn't it? When you can't do your basics.
Shatner should stick to Christmas albums, because he ain't cutting it in the director's.
I'm really excited to listen to Shatner Claus. I don't know if it's out yet, but I mean, I assume it should be.
It should be out for Christmas. I mean, otherwise, what's he doing?
No, I'm assuming it's out already, because as we're recording this now, it's the 26th of November. So I'm assuming it's out, but obviously I'm waiting until December, which, as most people are listening to this or watching this, it already is. But I'm waiting.
Yes.
Maybe I'll check in on the review of 6 with a brief Shatner Claus review at the end.
It would just be like Shatner to release a Christmas album like February.
Yeah, it would.
Here's a Christmas album in February. You get 10 whole months to buy it.
That's how you make the most money.
Oh dear. Yeah. So, God, this movie is just like, my positives for this movie are conceptual things, and then a few little moments or lines here or there. Everything else I don't like.
Yeah.
And we do the whole thing where Uhura sings again. She sings to, like, sort of almost like entice this group of bad guys over to, like, a,
It's less the singing that's the appeal here. It's the burlesque dancing.
Yes. Which is kind of weird, because Uhura at this point is like in her mid-50s, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, very low lighting.
It was, but it felt weird to me. I'm like, it felt weird whoever wrote this scene. Like, what? Why did you think of this as an idea?
No, it's weird, because it's one of those scenes where, okay, this is the typical, okay, let's get the young attractive woman to do the sexy dance, right? People all like that.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, let's just do it anyway. Which I kind of respect.
But I don't...
But at the same time, why?
But it feels out of place, though. When have we ever done this with Uhura, even in the original show when she was younger?
Never.
Exactly.
That's my point.
It feels out of place. It felt odd to me. And as they were going towards, I'm like, wait, that's Uhura. This is weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't mean to sound cruel. It's just, they're all old now. Like, it's just a weird choice creatively. Like, why would you decide to do this?
It is weird.
It's bizarre. I don't know. There's also a lack of interesting locales in this one. They go to the planet to deal with the hostage crisis, and then they're back on the ship, and
it's just a pretty standard desert.
Yeah. And I know you're going to say to me, yeah, but you liked the first movie, and the first movie was almost entirely on the ship. And yeah, it was.
Had interesting things happening.
Yes. There was
no matter what some of you people will say.
Yes. Motion picture's a gem. I will not hear otherwise.
I agree.
Motion picture.
It's only just behind Wrath of Khan.
Only just.
It's very close. And, depending on the day you ask me, I might even say I'd prefer to watch that one.
Hot takes. There's hot takes coming.
There is hot takes.
Hot takes.
I don't think we've had enough hot takes for the rest of this review.
Well,
so.
here's a cold take. This movie's shit.
It is. Wait, I just checked, by the way. The Shatner Claus came out at the end of October, so I will listen to it.
That's a bit early. I think that's a little bit early.
Yeah. I think he mistimed that a bit. I will listen to it in the first few days of December. I will do my duty, and I will give you a brief Shatner Claus review at the end of the 6 review.
Oh crap!
Hey, feel free to listen and join in.
I think I'll just go and have a sandwich or something when he's doing that.
I'm gonna put it on while I put up the tree. Could put on a Christmas movie, but no, I'm gonna put on Shatner Claus.
I allow this only if all your ornaments for the tree are all Star Trek themed.
That can be arranged. Paige has no say.
Little enterprises, little, Vulcan
Oh,
hand
I want little,
signs.
I want little Enterprise baubles now. God damn it.
Li-
They
li-
must exist. I will find them.
little Spock ears, maybe. I could see that being a thing.
What do I put on the top?
Oh, the Starfleet logo as well. No, that goes at the top.
That goes at the top, yeah.
Starfleet logo goes at the top, yeah. There you go.
Paige won't mind. She'll be fine.
what, what, what is a tree of Star Trek themed? Because we live long and we prosper. Shut up, women.
It'll be fine. She won't notice.
She won't know it. Yeah, there's no Star Angel at the top. There's a freaking Star Trek logo.
Oh, I really want to do this now. God damn it.
Oh, maybe Amazon will have all the supplies. I don't know.
Someone will have this. Because at the moment, I only have one rule for the Christmas tree: is you're not allowed glitter, because glitter gets absolutely effing everywhere, and I hate the damn stuff.
I've never put glitter on a tree before.
No, not glitter on the tree, but like glittery ornaments. Like little reindeer baubles or something.
Oh, okay.
No, none of those. They're not allowed because I hate that glitter gets. You have glitter on the tree for a month, and then I will find glitter just on my face randomly in February. Because it gets everywhere. It's like sand.
I don't mind the glittery ornaments. That's fine.
Oh, no,
surely tinsel must annoy you then, because tinsel all had all the little bits.
Tinsel's just shiny. A lot of it. It doesn't have the extra glitter on it. It's just like foil.
Yeah, but the little bits always come off. You always find bits of it on the floor.
Yeah, but I can hoover those up. It's fine. Glitter I just find it just appears on my face or on my hand, and I'll go, why am I shining? Oh, it's bloody glitter. I hate the stuff.
I can arrange a PO box for glitter ornaments to be sent to Connor Ryan if you wish to do so.
I will hate you.
Glitter and syringes. We'll send them glitter and syringes. Or glitter and syringes. You can inject it into his veins.
The only acceptable forms of glitter are when it's in alcohol.
I assume it's a different type of glitter that's supposed to be consumable.
I assume so, but I've seen glittery. I've not really drank any because why would I?
I don't imagine regular glitter is a consumable.
Probably not. I don't eat glitter, folks.
Yeah, don't try it.
Yeah, we are not endorsing this.
That's really is the final frontier. This is the final frontier for sure.
This got off the rails. I'm sorry.
Yes,
it's my bad.
The movie sucks. I mean, I think we've went into it as to why it sucks. It's easily the weakest of the six. Not to spoil my thoughts on the next one, but I know it's not as bad as this. I know that for a damn fact. It just isn't. It may not live up to like my 2 or 3 favorites of them, but it's definitely better than this one.
Bearable, at least. Is that what you're telling me?
It may even be good. I don't know. I don't remember a whole lot of it.
You can't really remember, can you?
I can't remember, but I don't remember disliking it, so...
It's a start.
We'll see.
Out of interest, I don't think I actually cover this. How did you feel about this one now compared to your first one? Did anything change? Did it annoy you more that the characters were actually wrong, or did it...
I think it did. I think this is the only one that's been affected negatively because I've seen the whole show and built up to it.
Yeah.
The other 4 all improved. At least a little bit. In some cases, a lot. This one just went down.
It makes sense to me.
Went down. So we'll do Undiscovered Country. That is coming up next, and then as far as our schedule's concerned right now, we should get to Undiscovered Country next week. But we are actually planning a week off between that movie and the start of Next Generation. Just as a natural break because it's between the two sections. It gives us a chance to maybe get ahead in an episode just so we're ahead in case scheduling conflicts happen later on.
Let's be honest, it will at some point.
It will at some point, it always does. So yes, but Undiscovered Country's coming next. Let us know what you thought of Final Frontier, of course. We have to rate this one though before we go.
Oh we do. I forgot about that part.
Yes.
I'll give it a 3. It's really bad. But it's at least got a slight level of technical competency that I can't go below that.
Yeah, I think a 3. I think a 3. I think the first time I saw this, I probably gave it like a 5.
That was generous.
Yeah, that's too high.
I would have accepted like a 4, but anything above 4 is generous.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go with a 3 as well. I can't really argue too much. That feels like it covers the positives enough.
Yeah,
and
it does.
there you go. But it does feel like a bit of a whimper. It's the sort of thing where I like there's some continuity. Like, you know, it's still, they've just gotten the new ship and Scotty's still fixing it up, and you know, it's starting to set up some of the Klingon stuff that they're going to be allies more and more so.
Yeah.
But
Chekhov is funny.
Yeah. There you go. So let us know what you thought of Star Trek V in the comments below. If you want to support the channel and the show and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You can support us that way. You can also support us, of course, by liking and subscribing. And I know we always say that, and I actually hate that we say that at the end of every video, because I'd love to not have to shill the smash that like button, all that YouTube bullshit. I hate doing it.
Right down there.
But the reason why we do it is because most people just forget to, don't even consider doing it. Not because they don't like what you're watching. I'm guilty of this as well. I don't necessarily remember to do it. And the reason why, as soon as you start making videos on YouTube, though, you actually learn how important it is that the algorithms for showing it in search results and things like that relies so much on people engaging either in comments or in likes and dislikes. Which, by the way, here's a hot tip that we almost never admit to on air, because we don't want to let people know this, but even dislikes are good.
They are. YouTube values dislikes as much as likes.
Like,
it's just the interaction that they value.
Every snarky little asshole who dislikes a video because they think, oh no, this is bullshit, PC shit or whatever, that still helps.
Bring it on, bitches.
That still helps.
Joe, it's funny that you're saying, oh, you hate doing the shill.
I do.
Because you're not as bad as some people, because obviously the thing that you really should shill that we never do is the notification bell, because apparently that makes a huge difference to YouTube's algorithms. Apparently, I don't know.
I get why you wouldn't, though. I actually understand why you wouldn't do that for our channel, because if you're here for, say, Star Trek and you like our movie reviews, but you don't really care about all the TV shows we do or the comics podcast, I get why you wouldn't want notifications for everything.
Which is why we don't say that at the end of every video.
Yeah, but if you want to ring the bell, you get notifications for everything, then knock yourself out. Go for it.
Yeah.
It certainly won't hurt. Certainly won't hurt. But of course, you can directly just go to Patreon and give us money, which is also extremely
way more
helpful.
Beneficial than doing any of this YouTube.
Extremely helpful. And you'll have no guilt in your conscience for using ad block if you give us money. That's the official. The official stance. But hey, that is us. So thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Star Trek and silly sci-fi things. And to everyone but Connor, live long and prosper.